Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. Again, the X Factor Safety. We're back here for another live stream, streaming to all your social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as over on the Safety FM radio station, safetyfm.live, Safety FM app. Check us out. Good to be back in the hot seat again. So without further ado, let me bring my special guest, VIP guest, Mr. Nick Dorsey. How are you, Mr. Nick?
Good. What's going on, Pedro? Thanks for having me, man. Excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's going to be a good one. So so everybody knows who you are, what we're going to be talking about, getting the mix. So tell our audience who you are, what you're about, and then we're getting to our discussion, brother.
Awesome. My name is Nick Dorsey. I'm the host of the All Things Gratitude podcast, where I love bringing on great people who show gratitude and want to help out people and, just be grateful for everything we do. I mean, ranges from your everyday entrepreneur to I've had best-selling authors, Emmy award-winning speakers, actresses. So it's been a lot of fun meeting some great people. My day job, I'm a project manager, facility director role. So I'm in the construction field. So I've been doing that my whole life. But that's my 9 to 5. But my podcasting and my leadership training and public speaking and everything is my passion. So
nice. And it's crazy how we cross paths and where we cross paths. This new hype Clubhouse has everybody going crazy and kind of seeing where they can pivot at. And so greatly appreciate you taking the time out to be here on the show, on the live stream and doing this. So you say you work in construction. And we're jumping right into the meat of things. What has been the worst incident that you've seen?
Which time?
The worst one.
The worst one. Having a 12-inch sprinkler main blow in a building was pretty fun. That flooded everything. Some of the stupid ones, there's some good ones here. You're going to love this being a safety guy is, I've worked for entities, which I won't say who they are, but they were on sovereign nations. So they're allowed to do a lot of their remodeling and or expansions without pulling permits. So I've gone into where the copper wiring or the wiring for everything, and for the electrical, instead of be ran in conduit, was wrapped around the copper pipes going all the way down. So 3 years later, electrolysis was happening, and we're getting pinhole leaks in all the 90s. So it was above our restaurants and kitchens. So, I mean, we were fixing like a leak almost every day, it seemed like, for about a year, because it was a 24-hour facility. So trying to shut everything, telling them, hey, we need to shut down this whole cook line. Yeah, that didn't work, because, they're seeing money. So, stuff like that. Having ABS pipe put in for a commercial dishwasher. So all the pipe melting away and the dishwasher just falling into the ground because it caved the ground in. I mean, stuff like that. Man. It's just nuts seeing all that stuff. So, just crazy stuff. Or even buildings that are flooding and nobody knowing where the shutoff is because they're cheap, and the water shutoff was like 3 buildings over or 2 buildings over for that whole section of the campus. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff like that.
No, definitely. And again, the construction industry in a whole, in any industry, it has its ups and downs and its uniquenesses about it. So I forgot to tell everybody, like, share, and subscribe, people.
Yes. Right here, people. Hit it.
Right here. Like, share, and subscribe. Over here to Nick Dorsey's channel and his podcast. You already know where to find me at. So had to get that one out the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But definitely getting into some good conversation. So you being who you are, Nick Dorsey, the great Nick Dorsey, talking about gratitude. What does gratitude mean to Nick Dorsey?
Gratitude means just, giving back, paying it forward, being able to be there and mentor people. People done it for me while I was coming up the chain of command, I guess you would say. And man, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't give that back, and I just think, being there, helping the younger generation get to where we are right now. You've probably heard the stats, especially in facilities, in the next 7 to 10 years, 70% of the people are retiring. And the big wave right now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was all these people going to school for IT or gaming and all that stuff. And the trade schools were going down. Yep. So preparing for the next wave of people, bringing people in, not necessarily with the skill set, but having to train them to have the skill set, because we're not going to get it because the numbers aren't in the trade schools like they were when we were coming up, where everybody wanted to be in the trades. Yeah. It was like an honor to get into the trade schools. And now it's like they're begging people to go in there. So, giving back to that younger generation, helping them get ready for the next step, building team members up to be not only better team members, but being better people personally, and, just having fun, and just being there for people. That's my big definition. It was a long one, but it was a big one.
No, definitely. And that's a great explanation of gratitude. And like you said, coming up through the ranks, I know for me, coming, out of the military and actually getting into the trade, working with your hands, you took pride in that, that type of stuff. All the guys that I went to high school with, they were, working on cars. They became mechanics. They became welders, construction workers, pipe fitters. They went into the labor union and got a skilled trade. Now some of the kids coming out of college, again, and it's the wave of the future, because there's lots of technology like what we're doing here. There's people that need to, produce all of this stuff and fine tune the technology that we're using. But like you said, the older generation that's been in the trades, they're starting to fizzle out.
Yeah.
And they're retiring, not fizzle out, like they're going away. They are starting to, retire. It's their time, and there's not that big of a pool like what there was 10, 15 years ago when, those guys were in their prime. So what's the biggest thing that you're grateful for?
The biggest thing I'm grateful for it's my story. It's given the opportunity. I'm a college dropout who started digging holes and drilling ditches and becoming a plumber. Right. And just making my way all the way up to an executive level. and just working my butt off, being in jobs I hated. I had managers I just couldn't stand. Finally coming across the right manager who saw my skill set, and just said, you have the skills. Why am I going to hold you back? And not worrying about if I took their position or not, because it was about progressing me and my talent set. And as a team leader, you want people just as good or better than you on your team. That's what creates a great team, so having those opportunities, having 3 amazing mentors, just being next to me all the way through this journey and getting up to where I got to. I mean, and then having a supportive wife. My wife has moved across states. We've moved 1,500 miles to support my career. And I just, if it wasn't for the mentors and for her and all that support, I wouldn't be here today. So that's what I'm grateful for, is just everybody along that journey who's been there for me.
That's awesome. And speaking of mentors, what's one of the biggest things that one of your mentors or your favorite mentor, and I don't want to single anybody out because we have mentors for different things, but what's one of the biggest, pieces of advice that one of your mentors has given you along your journey?
Stop being an effing idiot. That
right to the point.
And he was from New York, so he's very blunt, but when things first started happening, I didn't think so, but it kind of got to my head a little bit. I didn't think it was, but he just pulled me in his office and just lashed into me, and to be honest with you, I didn't realize what I was doing. But sometimes somebody needs to give you that come into Jesus talk to make you realize those things. And when he said it, and it makes sense. But it didn't make sense if somebody said it to me, because nobody said anything. So if somebody doesn't say something, you don't know you're doing something wrong, or you're hurting somebody's feelings, or you're just going in a wrong direction, So, but I was very fortunate. I was very early in my career. He did that, so it didn't get me in trouble or anything. But that's one of the big things that I'm grateful for, that like I say, from back east, had the Goulions to come up and tell me, because it was awesome, and it changed everything. So
stop being an effing idiot. I mean, we get told we have that come to Jesus moment, from those mentors, and it opens up our eyes and our minds to, okay, maybe we're doing it wrong. So let's switch up what we have to do for do it for. And I'm going to hit some of these comments up because we love the comments around here.
Yep. Travis, I'm looking at a lot of people over here.
Oh, you're a beast, bro. No, you're a beast. I see you. Yo, Nick Dorsey.
What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
What's going on, Shane? My brother Shane, my brother Jesus. How are y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in. Elliot Francis. Hello, Pedro. It's a pleasure watching your program. Good to see you. D. Gordon. Where's she at? I know I just seen it. There she is. It's a great gratefulness.
Yes.
And I think this might be Linda Martin. Hello, Pedro, Shane, Jesus, everyone. Or it might be Tony Taylor. Tony, maybe Pedro, you look tired. A little bit, not too bad.
I mean, you're on the road, so I mean,
I'm on the road. It's Ricky Burke. What's going on, my brother? 35, trying to mentor a 22-year-old. How can I get him to stay busy and do more? Be patient.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing, is patience. Being a mentor, you have to have so much patience. And when I'm a mentor, I really do. I got to think of where I was at that person's age or that stage of my career. And that sometimes that's really hard to look back on, especially, when I'm mentoring right now a 23-year-old, let's say, or 22-year-old like him, that was 21 years ago. So I got to remember what mindset I was in then. I was in the party stage. I was into, hanging out with my boys, going out drinking all night. Let's go to the bar, and, paycheck was a paycheck. I mean, work didn't mean anything. It was a paycheck then. Now as we get older, we realize what it really means to us and our family, and how much we really need it and appreciate it.
So and thank you for asking that question, Ricky. Let me bring that up again. He said he's 35, trying to mentor a 22-year-old. And how do you get him to stay busy? And my advice, and then I'll let Nick, weigh in. But my advice would be not trying to get him to stay busy. Figure out where what he's lacking, whether it's, showing him how to do a certain step. Maybe he isn't ready to move up to that next level and step up to the plate, but you being supportive and being patient will then help him or her open up and say, okay, I'm ready. I need help. They open up to ask you for help.
One thing I do, which, every situation is different depending where you work, obviously, but like when I worked at a manufacturing plant, what I did with one of the electricians, for instance, was we were bringing a machine into a place called a clean room, which is a class 4 clean room. So the federal regulations were tight on this room, and said, okay, we need this machine here. We need the electrical to come through. Give me a scope of work. So I let him produce the scope of work. Okay. And bring it to me. And I go over it. And obviously everything he did was to code, but there's regulation stuff he didn't know. And instead of saying, oh, you shouldn't, I'm like, listen, my bad. Maybe I didn't offer you the proper scope of work for the regulations. You got to add this and that. But instead of me taking over, I let him continue that. And what I found out afterwards was he was like, thank you for letting me do that. Cause I feel like now I contributed more to the cause, to the company. And, instead of taking it over, rewriting and giving it back to him, let him figure it out. And I've noticed with the younger people, a lot of times they do want to learn, but you got to figure out where their mindset is. And sometimes I don't go off of what they're lacking. I take advantage of their strengths and focus on their strengths. And then when they really got the strength down, and then usually they'll come to you, okay, I got all this figured out. What else can I do? And I try to do a reverse psychology with it. And that's worked for me. But like I said, it could be a totally different in another job field. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And to that point of finding people's strengths and what their superpowers are and how they are able to, benefit the team. So, I like to see where they're weak on, so that way we can focus on getting them up to speed in that area. But then I also utilize the strength to then, them circle back and say, well, I'm strong in this and I know I have to work in this, and we merge and bridge that gap to be able to bring up, because again, we're training individuals to essentially at one point in time take our job. Like the way I train people is I'm going to train you good enough so that way you can take my job, because I'm going to be here for another 2 or 3 years and then I'm moving up, or maybe a lateral move and I need somebody to fill this, and that person needs to be able to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I feel the way is I want everybody to be able to take my job. But the thing is, if I'm doing my job, they're not going to take it. That's just the bottom line. People get worried about it. And I'm like, if you're doing your job, 99% of the time, your boss is not going to let you go. Maybe they might do it because they get somebody for cheaper. But when it gets to that point, it's just, and if you're that good at what you do, you'll find another job. That's the thing. You'll be a wanted economy, or I can't talk right now. You'll be wanted throughout the industry, because especially construction, if you're in unions and all that stuff, everybody knows who everybody is. I mean, if you're that wanted, you'll get passed around quick, and people will pick you up fast.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think this is Doc Martin. Hey Shane, publishing Don Kramer's episode in 5 minutes. Awesome. Can't wait to see that one. Shane, he said he'll listen over on his way to work. Paula Goodman, I was here for a bit. Good to see you.
Paula is the Jedi POTUS we call her that because she does poetry and everything. She's out of Canada. Amazing follow her. She does daily inspirations and everything. It's just great. Her content's amazing.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for tuning in, Paula. Greatly appreciate it. So, what are the most common traits that you look for in a leader? And then what are your traits that make you a great leader?
I think they're both the same: empathy, compassion, and gratitude. It's very simple. If you can go in and show empathy, which then leads into respect, which leads into patience, that's what builds a great leader, in my opinion. I mean, that's the way I lead. It's been very successful. I've had over 280 people underneath me at points, and my turnover rate's been under 2%. There's a reason it gets there. It's not because I'm following everything. Sorry, Paula just texted me. It's not like following what the HR book says or any of that, because I look at each person individually and I treat them, because everybody has a different emotional level. Everybody comes from a different background, so I try to make personal relationships with all my team members, just knowing their kids, knowing stuff. It's just as easy as asking me, how was Billy's soccer game? Mm-hmm. How was Susie's basketball game? And it's amazing what you get back out of that. It's absolutely amazing. So I don't yell. I don't put people into corners in front of other people. If there's a conversation that needs to be held, it's behind closed doors. And I don't embarrass my team at all. I don't. I mean, they know I get mad. You have to get mad every once in a while. It's just part of the game, but you can get on your team, and if they have that respect for you, they'll just push it off. It'll just go by, and it's like nothing happened, because they know they did something wrong, right. And I have to be there to give them a little kick in the butt. So, but yeah, I make a couple rules with them. Always respect each other and everybody around you, and never make me do any extra paperwork. I already got enough to begin with. And it's amazing because, who wants to write up people? Who wants to do PIPs? Who wants to do all that stuff? No, nobody does.
Nobody
does. Just respect it. Just respect the entity. That's my biggest thing. Respect the entity. It'll respect you back.
Yeah, definitely. And Shane said, that he tends to talk a lot playful crap to the youngsters, but it's always with the purpose.
Yep.
There's always a lesson behind it. Kind of hard to explain, but it works in my experience. Kind of like making the learning fun by throwing rocks. Yes, don't throw rocks. You being a professional, any project manager better not see. I better not see anybody throwing rocks. But I get
like that,
Shane. I like the fact that you're able to. And again, everybody has a learning curve. Everybody has a learning style. Some people are, if you give them a JSA, if you give them a pre-task plan, they can dissect it because they're paper, it's in their hands. Some people are more hands-on, like they're going to walk you through the steps and, hey, I'm going to do this, A, B, and C. And by the time I get in, I'm going to be, doing X, Y, and Z. And and then they go to work.
I love what he's saying, because I figure out my team, right? And then, like some of them I've had, retired Navy people, F-bombs galore, curses. Yeah. And I'll sit there and I'll talk to him that way because he's fine with it. But then the next person over there has a different emotional level where you can't swear at them. You can't raise your voice a little bit. So I talk to them in a different manner, but my point comes across in two different ways. And I know how to do that to each of them. So I kind of customize it, I guess you would say. And I just feel that works a lot. There's a good question right below Shane's there.
Yeah. Ricky's. What do you do when one yells at you for asking them to fix something?
I bring them in the office and sit them down. Just have a conversation, because there might be something going on at home that we don't know about. There could be something personal going on. And I know I can't get into personal things with them, but most of the time people will tell you if they feel comfortable around you. If it's a reoccurring thing, then you got to write them up, take them to HR, or do whatever. But I mean, if it's something that doesn't happen a lot, there's something else. You got to look at each situation different, because if one person's been a model team member for 2 years and all of a sudden lashes out like that, there's more to it than work. And you need to find out what it is. And maybe you just take them away from people and have them do another duty where they're not around anybody for a couple of days. If you could do that to just help them calm down, and they'll remember that. They will remember that and take the shirt off their back for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what I would say, and to piggyback off what you said, Nick, is the fact that you don't know what there is going on, outside of work. If it's somebody that you do know, then check up on them. Because again, they might have lost a loved one, they might be going through a divorce, their wife's leaving them, their girlfriend broke up with them, whatever it may be. And you try to dissect that. Just have those moments where you're able to listen more than trying to yell back. Let them yell. take them to your office, take them, go have a cigarette. I don't condone smoking because I had a heart attack and I stopped smoking, but that's besides the point. But figure your guys out so that way, one, you can better serve them. And that's where that servant leadership comes into play. But always go in with an open mind and get ready for an earful so that way you can listen and really help that person.
I let my team members vent at me however they want till they take it to a personal level. Yeah. They've been throwing F-bombs at me. They doing everything, but it wasn't personal. And then when they're done, I'll be like, you got any more? Let it out. And they just look at me. I'm like, let it out. Obviously, you have aggression you need to let out. It's not against me. It has nothing to do with me. So let it out. I want to hear it, and that could change everything, I went into one company where I was brought in to rebrand and reculture to the department. And I remember my first day in, they handed me a piece of paper. This is my first day at work. They handed me a piece of paper and said, you need to fire this person. I was like, what? It's my first day. I don't even know who he is. I go, which one is he? I have 40 of them. I have 101 of them out here. Sorry, it was 101 people. I'm like, which one is it? And they're like, well, he does this, 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 and this. I go, okay. Let's put him on a PIP for 60 days and let me talk and let me just sit down because of past stuff and let me just deal with him. He'll be fine. Well, found out he was going through a divorce. So he started drinking. He was going through a nasty child custody thing. His life totally changed. And I sat down and I just started saying hi to him every day and nothing, saying hi. Then all of a sudden we went on a work trip to another property to go look at stuff. And I took him with. And the first thing he asked me, why do you take me? I go, because you need it. And he was like, huh? Well, he didn't realize till he came back. Then he started talking a little more. And then I started inviting, hey, let's go have lunch. Let's go eat lunch. So I started doing that. And before you know it, everybody's like, what is up with him? He's laughing and joking now. And I go, he just wanted to be treated like a human. That's it. That's all he wanted to be, is treated like a human. So I go, once that was given, and once he felt like he was important, that he was giving to us, his work was important. I mean, it doesn't hurt to give somebody a pat on the back or a that a boy. It doesn't. That's our job as leaders, to do that to all of them,
Yes.
High five, fist pump, whatever. As we walk by, just thank you for your work, man. I appreciate it. Even if you believe it or not, you still say it because you could change their attitude and maybe they turn into your best employee. Maybe they turn into a model team member, I mean, it's all psychological and you got to play with it and just make them feel good and wanted.
Yeah. Have to go. Thanks for the advice, Ricky. Greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you for tuning in. But no, I mean that right there, and like you say, it's psychological. But not only being psychological, it's the right thing to do. Treat people the way you want to be treated, but then know that just with the simple hi, how are you doing, or like you said, taking them on a different job walk to get away from that job and clear his mind, then that they become an advocate for change. They help you build that culture, and being in the safety space, that's big to help somebody, be an advocate of safety and be able to turn that culture around. They might be one of the worst persons at safety, breaking all the rules, but you just got to understand them.
Why do people break the rules at work? Because they hate their job.
They don't,
or they hate their boss. Well, hate's a strong word. Dislike.
Dislike.
And it has nothing to do with the company. It's their direct leadership. And the saying is true. People don't leave jobs. They leave their leaders or managers. That is absolutely true.
Yes.
I mean, if somebody's paying me over 6 figures to work for them, I'm not hating the company. I'm not hating the company whatsoever. You're giving me a good paycheck.
Yeah.
I'm disliking the person ahead of me because they're acting like a jerk because they're insecure of themselves, which is causing an effect on the rest of the group because they're worried about their job. Well, That's not my problem. It's not my problem. Get over it. You're making that much money. Figure it out. I mean, and that's the way I feel for me. It's if I'm doing that, I need to figure out what's best for my team. When I go to a new company and help rebuild a department, the old saying kind of is, oh, it's a new manager, we got to get used to them. No, I got to adapt to them. Then they see how I work, and then we come together as a common ground in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not my job to come change everything up.
No.
Just because I'm rebuilding a department doesn't mean you change it. You change attitude.
Yeah.
And if you can change attitude and get people believing, you just got to get people to believe in the system. That's what you got. It's just a belief and respect. And it starts with respect across the board. If you gain that respect, things change overnight. But you have to find out where that common ground is. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, common ground. And how do you influence? How are you an influence builder? And when I say that, influencer, people think, Instagram, TikTok influencer, LinkedIn influencer, but just you being a humble human being that's taking a team together and listening to each facet of that team. Mm-hmm. Every person has an opinion. Every person is going to bring something to the table, and you kind of figure out, okay, here are strong suits. Here's where we have to pivot at. And like you said, and I like the fact that you bring up, rebuilding a team on a corporate level. Talk to us a little bit about that. What struggles have you dealt with, and what successes and wins have you dealt with?
Corporate level's tough, because if you want to talk about to buy in a culture change, it has to start from the top. It absolutely. Small companies, you can make it a mid-level thing, but corporate, it has to go all the way to the top. And that's the hardest thing is, if you call me in to rebuild a department, my turnaround is going to be is like, okay, are we starting with the CEO and the COO? And they'd be like, what? I go, because it starts with you guys. It doesn't start with the department. It starts with you. Mm-hmm. You got to understand, I'm not rebranding departments. We're rebranding the company. And we're not going to change how the company functions. We're just going to change how we treat each other, and how making us more visible to the employees. Because what people don't realize is team members actually do want to see the bosses and the owners and everything. They really do want to see them on the floor. They want to hear a hi from them. Even if they don't know their name, they just want to be acknowledged and know they're around, instead of just sitting in their office or sitting on their yacht somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean just collecting paychecks. They actually want to be involved. They want them involved somewhat. Doesn't mean they have to do the work, but if they do the work, they give even more points.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in a corporate thing, it's got to start all the way at the top. So when you do speaking engagements and everything, it's like, I can come talk to a department. That's great. But it's going to do nothing if the people above them aren't part of it and don't buy into it. I mean, I'll be like, thank you for the paycheck. That's awesome. But it's really doing nothing. I'll see you in a couple months because you're going to call me back. You know, I mean, you're just wasting your money now. So it starts with the board of directors and all that stuff and works its way down.
Yeah, and being part of that C-suite, that I was once a corporate safety director, and just sitting in these board meetings and sitting in some of the scheduling meetings and seeing what's going on, and yes, they want to hear the stats of what's going on, what's going good, what's going right. Come out to the floor with me. Be there on the floor. See what your guys are struggling with, so that way you can then maybe come up with a solution and something that might be above my pay grade, because again, you're the COO, you're the CEO, the general manager, whatever it may be. You got a little more pull than I do, but at the end of the day, you're grinding, and it doesn't have to be grinding literally right next to them, but you go out, you talk to them, you see what everybody is about.
I went into a place to help out rebuild a facilities department, and I remember talking with the CFO, and he was at the company for 23 years, and a lot of people knew his name but had no clue who he was. So I'm like, every week we're going to have lunch on Thursdays, and we had 4 properties. I go, we're going to do a property tour. We're going to get all 4 properties and just walk around. Huh? And he saw the value in it. He understood then how much that worked. And then we went out and we were starting, it was a manufacturing plant. So we're starting to talk to machine operators, starting to talk to people in certain areas, that some people didn't even know who he was. They just knew he signed the paycheck, and that's how they recognized the name, and we saw how much moral that just added to everything. And it was great, because I was like, and it wasn't anything hard. I got a free lunch out of it, so I was happy. But, the point of it, is like, you see what's going on here. And then, he thanked me for that. He was like, you know what? That was great. That made sense. And I understand now why you're pushing me to do that. I'm like, cool. And I know I haven't been at that company for a little bit now, but I know he still does that. So that's a big thing. So we created a new culture kind of for them to do that, because that meant a lot to the team members.
Right. Hit some of these comments. Jamal Marshall, what's going on? Late to the party, but loving the title of this talk with two rock stars who got some skin in the game. Greatly appreciate you, Jamal. Hey, Jesus, what's up, my dude? Jeremiah Johnson wanted everybody to know what the PIP stands for. Professional Improvement Plan. So
professional, personal, yeah.
Personal.
That's all the same, yeah. Everywhere names it a little different, but exactly, yeah.
Hey, Josh Becker said, Jesus said, when the loudest people in the room become silent, that's when you should be worried.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes.
And even when the quiet people don't even say anything too. I mean, It goes both ways on that.
It does.
You want everybody talking. Even shy people, they say something every once in a while, or at least have some type of body gesture or something, that they're still actively involved mentally.
Jesus said there are plenty of scenarios where people work for great companies but horrible bosses, and it happens every day. And
I've been there, man.
Oh, we all have. I think
been in an awesome company, great setup, absolutely. They're gonna crush it, but the person ahead of me was, oh my goodness,
Yep.
It was all because it was strictly based off data, just data driven. I'm sorry, we're in facilities. Not everything's driven off data in facilities. It's by common sense. And, I can make a PM system for everything. But when you have 600, let's say, AC units or 600 rooftop units, RTUs, they're not all the same. So they're not being set up the same, but they want it all done the same. And I go, they're going to have to be done with different hours, different this. And people just couldn't wrap their head around it. I'm like, you hire people at a 6-figure salary to come in, let them do their job. Yep. I mean, bottom line, then you'll see the data. Give it a year. You'll see the data. Yeah. But
it's horrible bosses.
We all laugh about it.
Building rapport goes a long way. Yes, it does. Hey, Sue, greatly appreciate it. Nick Lozano, good to see you in the house. Jamal said, brother, what's going on? So, what advice would you give a younger you, Nick?
What advice would I give a younger me? At the very beginning, just pay attention and soak in the knowledge instead of just begging to get paid more money or just being upset because, I'm not making it up the chain as fast as I want to. I mean, especially in construction, you got to put in your time. I mean, you do. And I know some people don't some people excel pretty quick. Don't get me wrong, but back when I was getting my plumbing license, it was only 2,000 hours to get your license. I know. I think it's 6,000 now.
Yeah.
Minimum. So, I mean, that stuff has changed a lot. I mean, I got my license at 19 years old, which is, somewhat unheard of.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to go to school or anything. It was just hours in the field then, and, but I'm just saying, just put in your time, find a mentor. I didn't find a mentor until I was in my 30s, find a mentor, but just don't find a random mentor. Find somebody that is kind of like you, that you can associate with, that is in the same field that you want to do. So when you're asking them questions, they can give you the answers based off what you want to do for your future. I think where some people go wrong, there's great mentors, but if an HR person wants me to mentor them, I can help them be a good person. But when they come to HR questions, I don't know. That's why there's HR. I go ask them, I mean, nice. So I think it's just relating, finding one who can relate with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Arian Johnson said, hey, I'm in here. Me and him were on the same submarine in the Navy. What's going on, brother? So I put the X Factor hotline up there. If you want to call in, ask Nick any question, within reason, people within reason. But yeah, we definitely would love to hear you, and you'll be on the air live here on the X Factor Safety live stream. So with that being said, and hopefully somebody calls in, but if they don't, it's okay. It's okay. It's Monday. I get it.
I can text my wife to call in really quick. Ask a question.
Yeah, my wife has the number direct. She has the direct line. So,
yeah. I hope she does.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, what is your X factor? And I asked this of all my guests because I want Nick Dorsey to tell me what his X factor is.
I say my X factor is it's on your show, gratitude and leadership. I feel I can come in and help change somebody's life, if it's work or personal. It's happened, and I'm very proud of that. And I think the patience I take, because of the fact of what my journey was, from digging ditches, dropping out of college, digging ditches, drilling holes, becoming a project coordinator, then becoming a project manager, then a chief engineer, then a facilities manager, and a facilities director, working my way up that. I think the X factor in that is I understand every level what they're thinking and where they're at and how they've done it. And when they get stuck in a corner, what they're thinking and understanding, because I was there. I had the same feelings and thoughts about the people above me. So I think my X factor is I can go in and understand that. And that's how I gain the respect really quick. And another thing to gain respect, all managers or directors out there, get out of your office, go down on the floor and actually do some stuff with your team. I used to change mechanical seals. If you can afford to do it, I know some companies are about this, but I'm a 50-50 person, 50% in the office, 50% on the floor. And I make that fully aware before I take on a position. This is how I am, because this is what's going to work. And it's been very successful.
Awesome. No, I greatly appreciate you, Nick, and everybody out here that's been in the chat, the engagement that we get. So with that being said, now let's have a little fun before we end the live stream. So, top 3 apps right now in your phone.
Top 3 apps
that you use.
LinkedIn, Clubhouse. Yeah, it's like crack house right now.
Yep.
But this is how we met, so it worked out great. And probably right now, Instagram, because I just started that up, and I'm building a force through Instagram, which goes through my Linktree, which goes through my website, which goes through everything. So it's building that right now. So I'd say that was my top 3. I'm not an Instagram person who goes on there and scrolls through everything, but when I put all my podcasts on there and everything, so I like seeing the people I connect with on that aspect of it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know your top 3, and again, LinkedIn and Clubhouse being the top 2.
LinkedIn's definitely number 1.
Yeah. For a lot of people, that's a lot of business to be done. Lots of stuff throughout the day that goes on LinkedIn. Lots of good, value adds that come through.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have a LinkedIn and you're watching this right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter or Twitch, go sign up for LinkedIn. Find Nick, find me. We definitely would love to connect with you.
I am a consulting person and build LinkedIn profiles. So just remember that, new people.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
We got the plug in here.
Yeah.
So what 3 apps would you delete right now from your phone?
What 3 apps? Facebook by far. I'm just on there for my live streams to go there. I have 250 friend requests right now, and I put on top of my thing and not accepting friend requests, just here for live streaming. Gotcha. Facebook by far. God, I don't know. Let me look at my apps really quick. I don't have a ton on there. Let's see here. There's not a ton on here. I guess my fantasy football one's right now because that's over with.
You can make money off of those, right? No? Yes, maybe.
Not this year. All my teams got hit with the COVID players, so that kind of screwed me over this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton on here that would go that way. My WhatsApp app, because I've just moved over to single, so Signal. So that's a better one. So I'm going to get rid of that one here actually today. So
Nice.
There's that. And some of the news apps, because I just can't watch or listen to the news anymore, man. It's just nuts. I'll just leave it. It's just nuts right now. Let me just put it that way. I'm not going to get into the political driven stuff, but it's just nuts right now.
Okay, we're going to have to convert somebody. Have a LinkedIn account, but don't utilize it.
Arian you need to.
Need to. Yeah. I'm telling you.
I utilize mine.
Go ahead.
I got a pretty big following. For LinkedIn standards, I'm in the top 2% overall on LinkedIn with followers. I'm not bragging on that, but I tell you what, it brings me a lot of leads. It gets me on a lot of podcasts, and it brings in a lot of business. I mean,
I had to hit you with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like talking about the following count or any of that stuff because it just organically happened because I engage on a lot of posts.
Yeah,
I put myself out there. It just naturally happens. But I tell you what, I know somebody that has 200,000 followers. One of my good friends. There's no way he knows 200,000 people. But I tell you what, if one person sees something, it can change somebody else's life, which can change his life. And then that's the way I look at it. It just takes out one person. And I've known people who just came across the post. Like I've received 2 jobs off of LinkedIn, and I didn't even know the people. They just saw what I was doing and posting and liked it and gave me a call, and bam, there I was. So and it just came out of the blue. It's just one of those things. It's just you just utilize it properly. Just engage, and engage some more. That's the key.
Yeah. And LinkedIn, I signed up for it a couple of years back, but just recently started utilizing it again very heavily. And that's where, some of this stuff, the connections, the engagement, again, the live stream, having the LinkedIn live, and that's pretty big.
Absolutely.
And just being able to, bring value with what we're doing. And then not only that, but seeing all the value being added on LinkedIn, the business opportunities, the businesses that are out there that are utilizing LinkedIn. There's lots to be made. Definitely, good stuff on LinkedIn. So if you have it, use it.
There's about 12 people on LinkedIn. We have a chat room together, not a pod. Do not get near that. We text each other. We call each other outside of that. We're friends. Mm-hmm. It's just for us just to communicate during the day. Hey, what's going on today? Blah, blah, blah. But every one of them are really hardcore business owners but me. I'm in that realm, but I'm not in that realm, and I love listening to their banter because I can ask them a question. I'll get an answer. And, and the crazy thing is they ask me questions because they want to see it from like a team member side of it or an outside of the box view of it, so it makes a lot of fun, and, I've just jumped all over that because kind of like you, Pedro, I've had LinkedIn for 10 years, but I just started really engaging in 2019, in September 2019. And I built a big audience because my goal was I'm building a foundation. So I built my branding and my foundation. And now this next 12-month period, I'm building my consulting company big time, getting my public speaking going, getting my learning development going, getting, helping people build LinkedIn profiles, I'm just out there doing that and getting my speaking engagements down and creating the video content for these. So let's say a COVID happens again or some other crazy thing and work gets shut down again. I'm going to have all this built. I'm going to be ready to go. I'm going to have clients sitting there ready to go. And I'm going to go into it like nothing, like nothing happened to me on that aspect, So I'm preparing myself. But young people out there, if there's anybody listening, it's always good to have a plan B. Always have a plan B because you never know. Plan A may not make it. And don't put all your eggs in the basket with plan B. Have it go multiple different ways. Yes. So your pay's not coming from one streamline. It's coming from multiple.
Awesome. So before we end this live stream, we've been going for 52 minutes strong now.
Hasn't seemed like it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Great conversation. But been streaming on the radio station, all the social media platforms. Let everybody know where they can reach you at. How do they get a hold of you? how do they contact you?
Awesome, man. Find me on LinkedIn, Nick Dorsey. You can find that. My YouTube channel is Nick Dorsey Leadership. Has all my podcasts on there. My website's allthingsgratitudepodcast.com. You go there. You can see all my podcasts, my guests. You can find my link tree off of that, which will take you to all my social media sites, my consulting pages and all that stuff, and everything. But, we just IG, I guess, I go on there, kind of liking it now, but that's where you can find me, man. And I'm all over LinkedIn. I mean, if we're not connected, let's connect. You'll see me. I'll jump on your posts, and everything. I'll engage on it. I mean, I'm just here. I mean, since my network is, it's bigger than the average person. When I engage on something, more people see it. So, and that's my way of helping people, is engaging on stuff, and, Pedro, if somebody's done it to me before, hey man, can you engage in my post to help me out? Fine. And I do that. And I ask other people to do it.
Yep.
That have bigger networks than me, because I just want to get a little bump on it. And I feel that's what the network's about. So helping each other, it really is. So come around. So that's where you can find me, man. I'm all over the place.
Nice. And this last question, is LinkedIn more than just a job search app? It is not a job search app. It was, when it first started, it was for business. It was like your professional Facebook. Now it's still kind of like your professional Facebook, along with your Instagram, along with your YouTube, all of these things put together. They have stories on there. They have the LinkedIn Live. You can put articles and newsletters out there. And Shane, being the guru that he is, and the man that knows LinkedIn a little bit more, could attest to it. It's a great app. It's not just for job searches. There's something there for everybody. A sales navigator, a recruiter, and just your average day person. So
I wouldn't I wouldn't use LinkedIn solely for job searching. I would use LinkedIn to find the recruiter that you feel comfortable with to do the job search for you. I don't mean this. I love LinkedIn and everything, but people still put job postings in there just to get you into the email chain. So they have your email address. They're not necessarily true postings. ZipRecruiter does the same thing. People do that to get you in a database. Because I've seen the same job posted in there for like 6 months now. I'm like, you're telling me off this platform they couldn't find one person out of 760 million people who are registered on this? Bunch of BS. Yeah. So I never look for jobs like that. I always use recruiters, but I found my recruiters off of LinkedIn, and I interviewed them. I didn't have them interview me. I interviewed them because I want to make sure they're a fit for me and my kind of style, so they understood who I was. It was an executive recruiter, not just a normal recruiter, an executive recruiter. Big difference.
Definitely. Awesome show, fellas. I appreciate the insight. Thank you very much, Shane. Mr. Josh Becker, thank you, gentlemen. Greatly appreciate it. Donald, I apologize for being late to the show, but you're competing with Ohio State in a national championship.
I know that, but I think it's Alabama, so whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I had no problem taking this slot.
Yeah.
I'm probably not missing much.
Can't always rely on Recruiter on LinkedIn. A bunch of stuff in old reshapes. Get on here and connect. Yes. Definitely. I like that. Get on here and connect. So Shane, not Shane. Thank you for your comment, Shane. Nick, greatly appreciate you, brother, for hopping in here and giving so much value to our guests and my audience, your audience, people that are listening on the radio station. Hopefully you got some value out of this episode. Last words of endearment that you want to give to our guests.
Well, first of all, I want to say, Pedro, thank you for your service. And I know a lot of people who are listening on your end have been in the service. Thank you, everybody. I come from that military family. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I bleed this country and our colors and what we're supposed to stand for. So thank you, everybody. It means a lot to me. And guys, just respect, love, show empathy and compassion for people. I mean, really do. Especially this time, people are isolated. People are having a hard time. Send somebody a text. That might change their life right there. We don't know what they're feeling. So just check in with people. just make sure they're okay, and and just show the love. Just show the love right now.
Greatly appreciate it, brother. So without further ado, we're gonna wrap up right here. Greatly appreciate you, Nick.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Y'all know where to find me at. The X Factor is Safety everywhere, social media except for Twitter. Twitter is Safety X_Factor. Find me on Clubhouse. Find me on LinkedIn. Definitely getting some good value out of the Clubhouse and some of the rooms. There's lots of value add. So if you have iOS, iPhone, iPad, I suggest hopping on there. But remember, got to ask yourself that one question. What is your X factor? Until next time, we'll see you later.